Hey everyone, my name is Molly Morris and I am the author of the YA novel, This Is Not the End. This Is Not the End is about two teenagers who go on a road trip from Washington, D.C. to New York City in an ice cream van. One of who is super obsessed with bad endings, and the other one who can't die. So first up in the van, we've got Hugh. After the sudden and unexpected death of his parents, he becomes super obsessed with bad endings throughout pop culture. Things like movies, books, TV shows, general celebrities. And when he's not obsessing about those endings, he is doing everything in his power to make sure that he himself does not have his own bad ending. So as you can imagine, that doesn't make for the most thrilling existence. Next up in the van, character number 2 is Olivia. She, as Hugh finds out unexpectedly one day, can't actually die. And this kind of makes her sort of a wild, crazy risk taker. And while on this trip, she makes it her mission to show Hugh that by living your life doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to have a bad ending. So the two of them are really polar opposite characters. We've got one crazy risk taker and someone who is not so thrilled by the idea of the risk. Put them together and chaos is going to ensue. So this story was really important for me to write because as a teenager, I absolutely hated it and I couldn't wait for it to be over. I could not wait for the end of my teenage years. But now as an adult looking back on it, I just think, wow, those were actually some really amazing years in my life. And if by writing this book, I can encourage people, particularly teenagers, to sit down and look around and think, yes, while some of this may really suck, a lot of it is actually really amazing and worth experiencing. And I want to just encourage them to live it to the fullest and just enjoy it for what it is while you can. So the inspiration for this novel was kind of unconventional. I actually had Olivia in my head first. I knew everything about her, but I knew that she wasn't the protagonist. That led to the question of who would be the protagonist, which made me think, what could make this novel super duper spicy other than someone who is her exact polar opposite, someone who could push her to her limits and make her as uncomfortable as humanly possible. And that's where Hugh came in. Doesn't that just spell romance to you? Because ultimately a book that's just going to be about a day that is like every other day and nothing really happens and you go to bed and just think that was an average day, that's not the book that's going to keep you up at night. We read because we want to see challenges and obstacles and characters overcoming those obstacles. And believe me when I say this book has a lot of obstacles. Do the characters overcome them? I don't want to give it away. So now I'm going to give you a little taste test of this novel. I'm going to drop you in at a part where Hugh and Olivia have stopped at the Jersey Shore, because obviously, and they are arguing about whether or not to go into a tacky seaside casino. So as you can imagine, Hugh, super not into the idea. Olivia, very into the idea. So let's see what they get up to. I looked back and forth between Olivia and the Vegas wannabe casino. No, I said, no. I cannot go into, I swallowed, not even sure my brain would let me say it, Mr. Monkey's world famous club and casino. To my surprise, saying it aloud actually gave me a little relief, as if getting the words out of my head meant my body had expelled some kind of poison. Olivia folded her arms across her chest. Not with that attitude, you can't. Cars were coursing past us and into the Mr. Monkey's parking lot, horns honking and lights flashing like it was Woodstock for the clinically depressed. I thought this was supposed to cheer me up, I grumbled. It will in the long run. Look, I just think you need to get over this whole ending thing. Just because you take a risk sometimes doesn't mean you're going to die. If you were to bite it right now, all they'd write on your tombstone is, he was aiming for predictability. Don't talk about dying, I said, clutching my shirt. It gives me heartburn. I mean, think about it. Everything around you is changing anyway, even with you sitting still. Sometimes things happen and you just have to go with it. I bit my lip. I knew this. Didn't she know I knew this? All I'd ever done over the last 2 years was deal every stupid day with how much my life had changed and there was nothing I could do about it. Didn't she get that by just being alive, I was going with it? Who cared if I had to mitigate stuff a little bit in order for the whole thing to be digestible? What do you have against Mr. Monkey's? Olivia continued. Have you ever been to Mr. Monkey's? No, but I don't need to. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to find. From the looks of it, everybody in there was at least 50 and so sunburnt their skin resembled beef jerky. Whenever the automatic doors to Mr. Monkey swooshed open, a swell of Journeys Don't Stop Believin' and guys in Hawaiian shirts poured out. Plus it has a mascot, I said. A monkey in a yellow suit jacket and purple pants was dancing on top of the casino, waving around a microphone in one hand and a beer in the other. No reputable establishment has a mascot. Disneyland, Olivia said, counting on her fingers. KFC, McDonald's, Chuck E. Cheese. Those are terrible places, I said. This time Olivia turned her entire body in her seat, legs tucked underneath her so I could see the full flood of horror on her face. How dare you, she said. And that is all you get. Really hope you enjoy the sound of this novel, and thank you very much for listening. Bye.